kind of a general question. Calling Games being in season 3, it's highly anticipated. What can fans expect, especially since Shibuya, in my opinion, is like so high octane, extremely high stakes, and a lot happens. So now you have entering a new era of JJK. Like, what can fans expect?
I mean, I tell people all the time, like, who are fans of the first season, right? It's like, enjoy it because it's the most normal the show and series ever gets. We saw an escalation in season 2 quite abruptly, right? And I feel like season 3 will continue that trend. It's going to introduce so many fan favorite characters that no one even knows about yet, who are anime onlys. And there's a couple of characters, me personally, that I'm dying to see what they do with. And not to give too much away, the Maki fight in the trailer is so good, right? The Yuta Yuji stuff coming up is so amazing. I can't wait. Yeah.
I don't know. One of my favorite characters is yet to be introduced. I'm so excited.
There's things that I want to get to do that I can't talk about.
Especially like with Yuta coming back finally, post JJK 0 into like the whole we were making jokes earlier about his absence in Shibuya, like what was going on at that time. So he comes back and it's a complete change.
You just with the pizza walking into the room.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, guys.
He literally comes in and just everything is screwed. Like, yeah.
And with Yuji, how do you balance like everything that happens to him? And it's a lot, especially in Shibuya. The losses, the big fight with another character. Like, I don't know if you can spoil Shibuya. Does that?
Yeah, Shibuya's been out. If you haven't watched it, that's your own fault.
Like the whole Mahito thing was such a culmination of his entire arc, and he seems like he's reaching levels of strength that we haven't seen before, but also like that lightness is getting pulled away from him as well.
Yeah, the thing is, what I love about Yuji so much is that even though he is going through he goes through so many difficult things, I wouldn't actually describe it as the lights getting pulled from him. I think he's just realizing what he has to do and what's required of him, and he's willing to step up to do it. I do think, and some of the fights that we see in Season 3 really drive this home, that Yuji is still our good boy. He still is our little golden retriever, no matter how much bad stuff happens to him. And I think that's what makes him such an amazing character, is his soul is unbreakable. And I think that's just so cool.
You're right. More of a coming into his own.
Yeah. Losing something. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is an interesting question, and because I've seen JJK both dub and sub. English is not my native language, so like for me, reading subtitles it comes very naturally. But also sometimes I find it a lot easier to understand, especially like in anime in general. There's a lot of like descriptions of power-ups and techniques and all these different things. It's a lot easier in English sometimes for me to understand how that goes. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's just kind of the preamble. Here's a question. I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. You're doing great. Yeah.
Season 3 is going to bring highly anticipated calling games. The manga is dancing rules, allegiances, and intricate new sorcery. Do you think that dubbing these episodes, like hearing the lines and saying them out loud, will bring a new layer of clarity and understanding?
I definitely think that. Yeah, I definitely think it's going to bring a new layer of clarity. I also think JJK is in a really unique spot where since MAPPA is doing the animation, like it's such an amazing animation studio that it really it doesn't take anything from the manga to see it in an anime format. It's only adding to it, and kind of the animation is a character in and of itself. So it's really bringing the story to life and off the manga pages. But yeah, I've always said JJK is a big brain anime. Even for me, like reading week to week, I'm like, I've got to go back and read this in chunks because I'm forgetting things. And it's like, I definitely think that seeing that animated and explained however they choose to do it in the anime is going to help a lot.
Yeah, like for me, for example, like during season 2, the guy with the mustache with the animation power, right? Like, yeah. When I first read that in the manga, and this is going to be a very dated reference, it read to me like stereo instructions. You know what I mean? I'm like, is that how does that work? But when I heard it, right, that's like, and saw it, and kudos to like the actor to be able to deliver that information in a palatable way, right? That's going to be part of our jobs. When you hear it in a palatable way, then you're like, oh, okay, that's what the stereo instructions meant, So yeah, looking forward to understanding those kind of things a little better in the 3rd season.
Yeah, I mean, with that power, like, it's an animation power, right? So seeing it animated and the explanation of the timing chart, you see it happening. That's like you're able to understand it in a whole new way. The spectacle of art in motion, of cinema through illustration, is something that I have a deep, undying respect for. It is why I am in this industry. So, growing up, some of the first things I saw were like Akira. Like, those were my introductions to anime. Just like these immense like works of art that cannot be replicated quite the same way in their manga counterparts, which are amazing in their own way, because the Akira manga has story beats that we don't get to in the movie, and it has its own strengths for that medium. But that means that in that same way, animation has its own strengths that manga can never show. And MAPPA is one of the preeminent experts of tackling those strengths and utilizing them in a way utilizing them in a way that is beyond expectations.
Can I just add real quick? Sometimes when I'm reading manga, when there's like a big fight and like there's action kind of like all over the place, it's hard for me to tell like where I should be focusing, and it's not until I see it animated that like they can shepherd my eye to where it's supposed to go. I'm like, oh, this makes more sense. Oh, thank God. So I'm really excited to kind of make things make more sense.
That's called Yuji license.
That's Yuji license. Yes.
And I think that's what makes it, like the anime portion itself, especially for calling. I'm going to separate calling game because it is a very complex game that I reread that part maybe 80 times to understand. Because they keep changing mid-game too. They keep adding this.
Right.
They can upgrade the rule, do whatever, all of these different things.
Kind of like the game of
I have
Magic.
one more question, and I really want to ask it with Gojo, like godlike character archetype, which are some of my favorites. There's a challenge in how do you humanize
Yeah.
Gojo
Yeah.
to not appear as a deity, almost deified in a lot of ways, especially non-traditionals. How do you
I mean, obviously Gojo is a supremely powerful character, but I think the core of what makes Gojo so great isn't really his power, right? It's just he's like the silly dude, right? And like when you look at his backstory, you understand where that weird humor, self-defense comes from, because he grew up really lonely, So, and I feel like any of us as humans, we can empathize with that, right? It's like when you grow up under these circumstances and you in a way don't have peers, and in that way don't really have close friends, right? You can understand how when the one really close friend in his life, and they had the breakup in front of the KFC, you can really understand how that changed the trajectory of his entire life. And in that way, we can understand Gojo from a very human level, not just like the dude who's throwing hollow purples everywhere, right? But the lonely guy who like has like a weird tick about having a sense of humor, so yeah, like that part of Gojo is what's really dear and close to me, and I try to keep that in mind whenever I get to voice the character.
Oh, I just had this thought. Like, I think part of the reason why Gojo is so precious about maintaining like his students' like lives as children is because like when he was a kid, like he had that taken away from him because of his breakup with Get. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, you should never take youth from the young. Yeah, that's.
Damn.
I mean, no matter how many times I've seen it, there's always a new bit that you can pull out from it. We're literally doing
Well,
watch right now.
Actually, yeah, which is maybe what Gojo sees in Yuji, and why he cares so much about Yuji is because he sees this like an immense task that he has in front of him, and it is that sort of like stealing the youth from the young kind of thing.
I always sometimes feel like
It's
he
crazy.
knows something bad's gonna happen. like there's premonition. So he wants to make sure that these kids have the tools.
Yeah.
More than just being a teacher, like just like I am prepping them for whatever may come.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it always feels like.
It's cool.
Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.